It's a battle for the ages. Chains like Wendy's, Burger King, KFC, and McDonald's are fighting to best one another in value menus to convince consumers to spend their hard-earned cash.
Fast food executives are having emergency board meetings at 2 a.m., and it's not about new menu items. Years of jacking up prices just backfired in the most brutal way possible. The domino effect has already started. But why isn't anyone reporting this? Remember when Subway was everywhere? I'm talking corner stores, gas stations, even inside Walmart. The sandwich giant once ruled America with over 27,000 locations. But here's the kicker. They're now closing hundreds of stores every single year. What happened? Well, turns out people got tired of paying premium prices for what tastes like cardboard between bread. Subway's menu became as exciting as watching paint dry, while fresher competitors like Jersey Mike's started stealing their customers faster than you can say Italian BMT. The numbers don't lie. In 2024 alone, over 600 U.S. Subway stores shut their doors permanently. That's more closures than some entire restaurant chains even have. Makes sense, right? When you're charging $8 for a footlong that used to cost $5, people notice. Here's what really stings. Former Subway fanatics are jumping ship. They're discovering that other sandwich shops actually toast their bread properly and don't skimp on the meat. Who would have thought? The brand that once promised to eat fresh now feels anything but. Their ingredients look like they've been sitting under heat lamps since the Clinton administration. But Subway isn't the only beloved chain watching customers walk away. Remember when TGI Fridays was the place to be? Friday night, flair bartenders, and those giant platters that could feed a small army. Well, those days are deader than yesterday's potato skins. The chain filed for bankruptcy in late 2024, and honestly, it's been a long time coming. Here's the brutal truth. Younger people walk into a TGI Fridays and feel like they've stepped into a time capsule nobody asked for. The red-striped awnings and random junk plastered on the walls scream 1985, not 2025. Meanwhile, older customers who remember the good times take one look at the prices and nearly choke on their appetizers. $18 for loaded potato skins? Really? By early 2025, fewer than 85 locations remained in the entire United States. That's after shuttering dozens more in just the past year. Think about it this way. Nearly 30% of all TGI Fridays that ever existed have vanished faster than your paycheck after a shopping trip. The most embarrassing part? They got sued over mozzarella sticks that weren't even made with real mozzarella. You can't make this stuff up. Casual dining used to mean affordable fun, but now it feels more like expensive punishment. But Fridays isn't the only beloved chain watching customers disappear. Remember when Chipotle was the cool kid on the block? Those days are fading faster than guacamole turns brown. The burrito giant that once had lines wrapping around buildings is now watching customers walk away, and their wallets are staying closed. Here's the kicker. A basic burrito bowl now costs more than what many folks used to spend on an entire lunch. We're talking $15 for rice, beans, and a scoop of meat. That's not fast casual pricing. That's sit-down restaurant money without the service. The numbers don't lie. Chipotle's stock took a 28% nosedive in 2025. Ouch! When investors start jumping ship, you know something's seriously wrong. But the real gut punch? Sales dropped 4% in just 1 year. For a company that used to grow like weeds, that's practically a financial emergency. What's really hurting is how boring Chipotle has become. Same rice, same beans, same assembly line experience your grandfather could predict. Meanwhile, competitors are rolling out exciting new options while keeping prices reasonable. The burrito boom officially feels over, folks. But Chipotle isn't the only heavyweight champion getting knocked around by angry customers and empty registers. Remember when KFC's biggest problem was running out of chicken? Those were simpler times. Now the Colonel's facing something far worse: customers running out of patience with sky-high prices. Here's the brutal truth. KFC built its empire on feeding families without breaking the bank. But when a bucket meal hits $30, suddenly mom's homemade chicken starts looking pretty appealing. It's like charging Ferrari prices for a Honda. Eventually, people catch on. The health trends haven't helped either. Fewer families are gathering around buckets these days. Smaller households don't need 16 pieces of anything. And health-conscious eaters are eyeing those grilled options that, let's be honest, never quite caught fire. Then there's the competition problem. Popeyes sparked a chicken sandwich war that left KFC looking like it brought a spork to a knife fight. Chick-fil-A's service makes KFC's drive-thru experience feel like waiting at the DMV. Even gas stations are slinging better fried chicken than some KFC locations. Yum! Brands reported some pretty grim numbers for 2025. Stock performance? Down. Sales? Disappointing. Store closures? You bet. Many locations are desperately remodeling, hoping fresh paint can mask stale strategies. But here's where things get even messier. Another beloved brand is discovering that social media fame doesn't always translate to real-world success. A few months ago, I had no idea what a health ring even was until my fiancé got me one, and I have to say, I'm shocked this isn't a widely known and used product. It tracks my stress levels, and what I found out is that some supplements made my stress score spike, while others actually helped bring it down. I adjusted a few things based on that, and honestly, I feel 10 years younger. My wife mainly uses it to track her menstrual cycles, and she is obsessed with her sleep quality score. I noticed they are currently running a limited 69% discount, but I don't know how long it will last. It's currently only $60, and it's clear this one is the best bang for your buck, with other health rings priced around $350 with less functions. They managed to price it this low because they cut out the middleman like Amazon, Walmart, etc., who drive up the price and take a big margin, ending up with the customer paying 3 to 5 times more. If you are on TV, you can check it out yourself by pausing the video and scanning the QR code with your phone camera or clicking the first link in the description of this video. Remember when Wendy's Twitter account was the coolest thing on the internet? All those savage roasts and witty comebacks made everyone forget one tiny detail. You still had to actually visit their restaurants. Well, turns out social media fame doesn't pay the bills when your combo meals cost more than a tank of gas. Wendy's fresh, never-frozen beef promise used to mean something. But when that promise comes with a $15 price tag for a burger, fries, and drink, customers start wondering if frozen patties weren't so bad after all. It's like bragging about your handmade car while charging Ferrari prices. The numbers tell a brutal story. 3 straight quarters of declining sales in 2025. Hundreds of locations earmarked for closure. Some towns that once had multiple Wendy's locations now struggle to keep even one branch profitable. But here's where it gets really painful. The service quality has nosedived faster than their stock price. Wrong orders, cold fries, and staff shortages have become the norm. Customers are paying premium prices for what feels like budget execution. Many locations still look frozen in 2005, complete with outdated decor that screams, "We peaked during the Bush administration." Speaking of struggling chains that once ruled their category, remember when Pizza Hut was the place to celebrate? Birthday parties, Little League victories, That magical Book It program that made reading feel like winning the lottery. Well, those red-roofed restaurants are disappearing faster than free breadsticks at a family reunion. The numbers tell a brutal story. Pizza Hut has shuttered hundreds of dine-in locations in recent years, desperately pivoting to takeout-only models. But here's the kicker. Even nostalgia can't convince families to drop over $20 on a pizza that tastes exactly like it did in 1995. And not in a good way. The competition is ruthless. Delivery apps brought gourmet pizza right to your doorstep. Frozen pizzas got surprisingly decent. Local joints started offering fresher ingredients for similar prices. Meanwhile, Pizza Hut kept banking on brand recognition, while their stuffed crust lost its magic. Then there's the real estate problem. Those iconic buildings with the distinctive roofs? They're expensive to maintain and often too big for today's takeout-focused world. Many locations now look like monuments to better times. Empty dining rooms gathering dust while drivers grab orders and dash. But Pizza Hut isn't the only classic chain watching its empire crumble. Wait until you hear what happened to this next Tex-Mex favorite. On the Border went from Tex-Mex favorite to financial disaster faster than you can say bankruptcy filing. In 2025, they officially threw in the towel with Chapter 11, drowning in over $25 million of debt. That's enough money to buy a small Texas town. Well, here's the kicker. More than 70 locations slammed their doors shut in spring alone. 70. Your neighborhood. On the Border probably became a parking lot, or another chain by now. Makes sense when you consider they were charging restaurant prices for what basically amounted to dressed-up fast food. The whole thing reminds me of watching your favorite uncle lose at poker night. Everyone saw it coming, but nobody wanted to say anything. On the Border used to be the reliable choice. Not great, not terrible. Just consistently decent Tex-Mex when you needed it. Think of it as the Applebee's of Mexican food, which sounds about as exciting as it actually was. But younger folks started flocking to hipper taco joints with Instagram-worthy presentations. Meanwhile, older customers got tired of paying $15 for fajitas that tasted like they came from a microwave. Even after new owners swooped in promising a rescue, the closures keep coming. And speaking of chains that can't seem to catch a break. Remember when a Dairy Queen blizzard was the ultimate summer treat? Well, those days might be melting away faster than ice cream on hot pavement. DQ is watching its foot traffic disappear like a magician's rabbit. Except this trick isn't bringing anyone back for an encore. The problem isn't just competition from fancy gelato shops that charge $20 for a scoop the size of a ping-pong ball. It's everywhere. Grocery stores now sell premium ice cream that tastes better and costs half the price of a medium blizzard. Smart shoppers are doing the math, and it's not adding up in DQ's favor. Here's the kicker. A regular blizzard now runs about $6 in most places. $6? That's what a whole gallon of ice cream used to cost. Today's budget-conscious families are saying, thanks, but no thanks, to that kind of sticker shock. Rural locations are getting hit especially hard. When small-town America tightens its belt, the first thing to go isn't groceries or gas. It's the weekend ice cream run. Dozens of DQ stores have already closed their doors, with more expected as owners face rising rent and shrinking profits. But here's where things get really interesting for another struggling chain. Boston Market used to be the golden child of fast casual dining. Remember when rotisserie chicken felt fancy? Well, those days are deader than last week's leftovers. The chain that once promised home style without the homework has been hemorrhaging locations faster than a leaky gravy boat. Over the past decade, they've slashed their store count by more than half. That's not downsizing. That's practically disappearing. Here's the kicker. They're charging premium prices for what grocery stores now sell cheaper. Why pay $15 for a quarter chicken and sides when you can grab a whole rotisserie bird at the supermarket for $6? Makes sense, right? The real tragedy. Boston Market lost its identity somewhere between trying to compete with Chipotle and pretending to be your grandmother's kitchen. They were supposed to be the quick alternative to Sunday dinner, but now they're just expensive and slow. Former locations sit empty like ghost towns, many converted into completely different restaurants. It's like watching your childhood friend become a stranger. The brand that once made busy families feel good about not cooking has become irrelevant in a world where meal kits and grocery store rotisseries rule the roost. But Boston Market isn't the only beloved chain watching customers vanish into thin air. Remember when Taco Bell was the place where teenagers could grab dinner for under $5? Those days are long gone, my friend. The value menu that made this chain famous now feels more like a cruel joke than an actual bargain. Walk into any Taco Bell today and prepare for sticker shock. A simple taco that used to cost 99 cents now runs you close to $3. Makes you wonder if they're stuffing gold nuggets in there instead of seasoned beef, right? The numbers tell a brutal story. Multiple locations across major cities have quietly shuttered in the past year. Small towns aren't faring any better. Entire communities have watched their local Taco Bell pack up and leave. But here's the kicker. Even their wildest menu experiments can't save them anymore. Remember when dropping a new crazy item would have everyone talking for weeks? Now, customers just shrug and head to the grocery store for DIY taco kits instead. Fresh Mex competitors are eating their lunch. Literally. Places offering actual fresh ingredients at similar prices make Taco Bell's processed approach feel dated. Well, if you think Taco Bell's price increases are shocking, wait until you see what's happening at a place that used to pride itself on being the healthy, fast, casual option. Picture walking into Panera Bread 10 years ago. Clean food, reasonable prices, and that cozy bakery vibe that made you feel good about skipping McDonald's. Well, those days are officially over. Today's Panera has transformed into something your wallet definitely doesn't recognize. A simple bagel with cream cheese? $8. Add coffee, and you're looking at $12 for what used to be a quick breakfast. That's sit-down restaurant money for grab-and-go food. The clean eating angle worked when competitors were still serving mystery meat. But now, every fast casual spot claims to be healthy and fresh. Panera's lost its special sauce, so to speak. Here's the kicker. They keep closing suburban locations where soccer moms used to grab lunch between errands. Those same customers now hit Trader Joe's for soup and make sandwiches at home. Makes sense, right? Their unlimited drink subscription was supposed to save the day. Instead, it mostly attracted people who nursed one coffee for 3 hours while using the free Wi-Fi. Not exactly the profitable crowd they hoped for. Even loyal customers admit they've been priced out of their old routine. When your affordable lunch spot starts charging dinner prices, something's got to give. But Panera's pricing problems look almost reasonable compared to what's happening at McDonald's. McDonald's closing hundreds of stores? That's like hearing your grandpa decided to learn TikTok dances. Shocking and slightly concerning. The Golden Arches have shuttered over 600 locations across America in recent years. Not because they're failing entirely, but because even McDonald's can't ignore reality. When your Big Mac combo costs more than what people used to spend on an entire family dinner, something's gotta give. Remember when McDonald's was the place you'd hit after Little League practice without checking your wallet twice? Those days are deader than a McFlurry machine at midnight. Families now do actual math before pulling into that drive-thru. $40 for burgers and fries? That's grocery money for 3 days. The automation and fancy renovations look impressive, sure. But longtime customers miss the days when McDonald's meant affordable. Not affordable compared to sit-down restaurants. Here's the kicker. This is McDonald's we're talking about. The undisputed king of fast food. The brand that practically invented the drive-thru experience. If they're feeling the squeeze from inflation and changing habits, imagine what's happening to smaller chains. Well, speaking of delivery and rising costs, let's see how the pizza wars are treating another giant. Domino's spent decades convincing America they were the pizza delivery kings. Well, turns out wearing a crown gets expensive when everyone else wants to knock it off your head. The numbers tell a brutal story. Delivery driver wages have skyrocketed, and those third-party apps? They're eating profits faster than a teenager demolishes a large pepperoni. Meanwhile, customers are doing math that would make their high school teachers proud. Suddenly, $25 for a medium pizza doesn't add up. But here's where it gets really messy. Store closures in rural areas are making headlines, and not the good kind. Towns that relied on Domino's for Friday night dinner are watching their local shops disappear like socks in a dryer. Little Caesars is laughing all the way to the bank with their $5 hot and ready deals. Local pizzerias are stealing customers by actually using fresh ingredients. Imagine that. Even Domino's desperate menu experiments with loaded tater tots and fancy sandwiches aren't bringing people back through those doors. The real kicker? Young people want authentic pizza now. They'd rather pay the same money at some hipster joint with a wood-fired oven than order from a chain that tracks their pizza with GPS. Speaking of chains feeling the heat from changing tastes, remember when Arby's slogan, "We have the meats," actually meant something? Well, they still have the meats, but apparently they're missing the customers. Arby's carved out this weird little niche with roast beef sandwiches back when everyone else was pushing burgers and chicken. Smart move, right? For a while, yeah. But now their prices have climbed higher than a deli counter scale, and people are walking away faster than you can say, "horsey sauce." Here's the kicker. They tried expanding beyond roast beef into gyros, turkey, and fish sandwiches. Makes sense on paper, but it left longtime fans scratching their heads like they'd wandered into the wrong restaurant. One day, you're the roast beef place. Next day, you're trying to be everything to everyone. Several locations have quietly shuttered over the past 2 years. Not with big announcements or farewell sales, they just disappeared. Like that uncle who promises to visit but never shows up. The real problem? Fast casual joints now offer more protein variety for less money, and they look fresher doing it. Meanwhile, Arby's sits in half-empty strip malls, watching their lunch crowd drive past to newer competitors. But here's what's really interesting. Even America's most beloved chicken chain isn't immune to these same struggles. Even Chick-fil-A isn't bulletproof anymore. Yeah, you heard that right. The chain famous for saying, "my pleasure," instead of "you're welcome," is feeling the heat. Their chicken sandwich that once ruled the roost now costs more than some people's hourly wage in certain cities. A combo meal hitting $14 feels less like fast food and more like fine dining, except you're still eating in a plastic chair. But here's the kicker. Chick-fil-A actually closed some stores in 2024 and 2025. When the golden child of customer service starts shuttering locations, you know something's seriously wrong with the industry. The health-conscious crowd is ditching fried chicken faster than a New Year's resolution. Young people especially are trading nuggets for salads, leaving Chick-fil-A scrambling to keep up with changing tastes. Remember when their value was unbeatable? Those days are deader than last week's leftovers. Even their legendary service can't convince families to drop $15 to $20 on what used to be a quick, affordable meal. If Chick-fil-A, with their cult-like following and Sunday closures that somehow make people want them more, is struggling, then truly no fast food chain is safe from this pricing crisis plaguing the entire industry.